Yeah. If we could make that happen.
My name is Matthew Mitchelson. I am the Chief Operations Officer and Creative Vision Director for Tradition Production Group. Right now, we're coming to you from Premier Whitetail Retreat in Ashland, Ohio, a beautiful setting here in America's heartland, arguably. And we're here providing an incredible outdoor experience for a very deserving American patriot, and his name is Marc.
My name is Marc Dervaes. I was born in Pennsylvania. Joined the Army in 1994 out of high school, and spent 18 years in the military. I'm retired in 2011. So this was on September 12th, 2009. My unit and I were tasked to provide overwatch for a logistics patrol in Tier 1 hotspots. This was in Konar Province, Afghanistan. So we maneuvered to help, and my platoon was the furthest away. And as we got our vehicles moving, we came under an ambush, a close ambush, and they picked my truck, and a well-placed RPG went through the windshield and took my arm off. Knocked me unconscious, and when I came to and observed the severity of the situation, it was a somber moment in my life, and I had come to the realization that I was no longer invincible.
My name is Aaron Lawrence. I now currently have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Executive Officer of Tradition Production Group. And our job, the mantle we've willingly taken on, is wanting to tell and showcase these stories of absolute resilience, like Marc's, about the fact that he's lost more than millions of individuals in this country are even willing to put on the line.
So we've had the privilege of knowing Marc for a number of years now, and understanding Marc's story, not just understanding where he came from being a soldier, a leader in the U.S. Army, but to where he is today, volunteering at other veteran networks and other veteran outdoor ministries in Colorado Springs.
We all go through periods, we all go through difficult times and depression and anxiety, but these are not a permanent state of being. They're things to move past and move through, to grab that victory and grab the things that God has intended for us, which is excellence and greatness.
They ushered me into the treatment facility, and that's when I was intubated and started my movements from that FOB to Bagram Air Base, and then from Bagram to Landstuhl, Germany, then from Germany to the States. First of all, I've learned from my injury until now that I didn't hunt before I was in the military. I never shot a bow before I joined the military. I learned to shoot a bow using a mouth tab. It's a non-traditional way of archery, and it requires a level of skill that intensifies the experience. And I wouldn't say it makes it more difficult, but it makes for additional training. And I've also learned that this is what I ran from post-injury, not wanting to feel that pain anymore, of seeing the physical pain and looking at the eyes of the soldiers who were dealing with things like I was, but on a different level, and running from that, not wanting to see that, to wanting to be part of the community again in the form of a tribe. And the way I say by tribe, I refer to more of the Native American sense of what they use as a community and how they sought out community in the form of a tribe, and how it very closely relates to the military man and women who are constantly with each other every day. And as much as they say they hate it, I've been with this person every day and they're driving me crazy. That close-knit community, that tribe, is something that I've missed. And the hunting community and being able to go on hunts and reconnect with nature has brought me out of that that solitary or solitude. To be belonging into a tribe, into a community, is something that hunting has given me, especially archery. The morning hunt was a uneventful event. We rolled into our tree stand.
So now I don't like to shoot with my quiver on, so I take that off, especially if I'm in a blind. I don't need it, you know.
And there were some great looking bucks right at the base of the tree stand. It was still dark, so that type of shot isn't really possible with a bow at that point. So it was exciting, but that was the end of it. The excitement didn't, it went down from there on out. We didn't see another deer the entire morning. In fact, we had a groundhog come out and wave at us a couple of times and make fun of us in our blind.
Definitely drive yourself crazy. And I think it's something that not everybody has the ability to do, is to keep themselves calm and be patient in this situation.
So it was a hot day. The first thing that went through my mind as we were going out to our blind on the afternoon evening hunt was how warm it is. And this time of year, these animals start to develop a thicker coat, that the way they could survive through the winter. And when it's hot, they don't like to move around so much. In hunting and in the shooting sports, in my opinion, the animal that you're shooting at is the one that determines when the shot is going to be made. And sometimes that could be a split second, and that window opens and closes very quickly, and you have to be ready for it. I start to see some movement about 100 yards away, and that deer that was spooked very early in the hunt, Mr. Freak Nasty, decided to come back and see what was going on. And here he comes, on a line, straight to our stand. He got to about 20 yards away and was observing the area, and the lead guide leaned in and asked me if that one was big enough for me.
Is he too big for you? What? Is he too big for you? That one. Let's shoot him when we get a chance. Oh, shit. Okay.
My heart skipped a beat, and I kind of like, I don't know, had this huge gulp. Like, what did you just say? And he looked at me and smiled, and he's like, when this one comes into view, take it out. And what a flood of emotions that came rushing in at that moment, because here I am now knowing that this animal, which I thought wasn't going to be the animal I was harvesting, was now the animal I could possibly harvest. This beautiful animal crossed about 10 yards in front of the blind. As a mouth tab archer, I have to bring my bow up to my face, get the mouth tab seated in my mouth, and then push the bow forward. So it's a little bit different than a traditional archer. So I did that, and once at full draw, I saw his head start to come into frame, and I'm like, please don't stop, because if he had stopped, I would have to kind of lean in and get the shot, which is not advised. So he didn't stop, he kept moving, and the lead guide gave out that meh and let that arrow go. And I just watched it go right through the sweet spot.
Nice shot.
I ran slammed him.
Yeah, I slammed right through the heart.
Yeah, right. And I knew that was a hard shot.
I want to fucking scream right now. Like, wow!
I often talk about hunting can be the highest of highs down to the lowest of lows and back to the highest of highs in a matter of seconds. And that was part of it. Not the best hunter in the world, and I don't get to hunt very often, but when I do, I make it a personal event of mine to thank God and say a prayer and thank that animal for what it has done and what it is about to give me in sustenance, in how I value my life and how I see wildlife.
So seeing Marc adapt, that's one of the military slogans, right? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. He has improvised, adapted, and overcome in a great way. I've described Marc to a couple guys, that he shoots bow and arrow with his teeth. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, the arm goes out and the teeth go back and he lets it go. And it's an amazing thing. And it has inspired me, actually. If Marc said, Jim, I want to go kayaking with you, I got to figure this out.
So one of the things I was really impressed with, as soon as I came out of the vehicle and met all of you for the first time in person, was meeting Marc and hearing about his story. As we spoke about earlier, my absolute love, admiration, and respect for anybody that's put on this uniform is over the top. And when you see individuals like Marc who have to now change their lifestyle because of what happened to them when they served the country. And I think it's just absolutely amazing, an amputee shooting a compound bow. Drawing it back with a mouth tab. It's probably a better shot than I am.
And just being part of this project has challenged me. What are we doing as Outdoor Immersion to create more accessibility for the community that needs adaptability? And in my mind, I'm like, there's a picture that I can remember of a guy with one arm, and there was some sort of apparatus set up for a paddle that allowed him to paddle a kayak. I got to go back and dig that up and see where it is and figure out how we can do more for guys like Marc, because it's just amazing.
So being able to do things without an arm has been an ultimate challenge. And I try to be as humble as I can because I know there's more people out there that are injured more severely than I am and have harder daily life than I do. My faith has had my spirituality has been checked. It's been questioned. I've had moments of despair when it came to my spirituality, my faith, over the course of my military career and afterwards. There have been some times of darkness where if I didn't have my faith, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. Hunting in general, I think, helps restore and builds a better foundation for my faith and spirituality because you're connected with nature in a way that's very different than just taking a walk in the park. It's seeing nature in its rawest, purest form, and that in itself helps break down those self-doubts of my faith and restores them. And being surrounded with a group who are also faith-based and like-minded helps tremendously with in keeping of good faith and restoring spirituality that I have felt has challenged me in my life.
He reminds me of a tree out in the woods, again, that has had a catastrophic event, and the impediment that tree has is never going to go away. Marc's condition, missing his arm, I don't know if what could be done. I'm sure he's had all that looked at before, and he's chosen to go the way that he's gone. And so what can we do to assist and provide more opportunity for guys like Marc? He's inspired me to start stepping in that direction.
But as I am in your community, even more and more, and running across veterans that have been wounded and have to change their lifestyle because things aren't the way they were before, it's amazing, their resilience and the fact that they don't look upon themselves as handicapped in any way.
Marc is another example of a man who is truly dedicated to his craft. And he's there not just for the easy aspects of tasks, but he's also there saying, how can I help? How can I, share the load?
It's, to me, that continuing mentality of any veteran or somebody that's served is, how do I continue to serve? How do I continue to drive forward? You see average civilians that just had a bad day and they can't get along. Well, he had a little more than a bad day, but it hasn't stopped him.
Marc did his job, he did his preparation, making sure his gear's right, making sure he's set up for success. He's gonna wake up early, he's gonna get out there before the sun is up, before the animals are active, and he's gonna position himself in a place of success, and that's gonna come to fruition. That's what I'm expecting. What am I hopeful for? That we all remember that none of us can do it by ourselves.
So being able to do things adaptively, whether it's archery, kayaking, or snowboarding, 3 things that I do on a regular basis, adaptively has taught me that there is no line drawn in the sand, that you can overcome obstacles if you want to. I believe that in my journey, being able to do these things has helped others that thought that they can't.